Today we'll be talking about the art of self-discipline. The art of self-discipline. And Engineer Igodaro, at least for a few years, I've had the opportunity to be a student under him. And one of the reasons for bringing this up and bringing up this interview is to actually make you guys learn from his own experience. He's a very successful man. So for the next 10, 15 minutes, he will be the one speaking, and I just hope you will be blessed with this short interview. Okay, it's about 2 minutes. Can you tell us just a short history about yourself? Okay.
Okay, my name is Dr. Ighodaro. I'm currently lecturing in the Department of Mechanical Engineering and currently the head of department. I grew up in a number of cities, primarily in Benin and Lagos State. I attended my primary school education in Benin before relocating to Lagos for my secondary school, after which I gained admission into the University of Lagos to study mechanical engineering. Having graduated from there, I worked a little bit in industry for a few years with Guinness precisely, and then I opted to do a master's degree in the University of Benin, after which I also started lecturing in the same university. I think about 2 years into lecturing, I then traveled abroad to the United Kingdom for my PhD, where I did obtain the PhD from energy utilization and fuel cell systems. Of course, after the 3.5 years of the PhD, I've come back here to lecture. Family man, married with 2 kids. I think that's basically a brief summary of myself.
Doctor, Sister, I told you already that we'll be speaking about the art of self-discipline. Sister, can you just tell us what does self-discipline mean, at least to an engineer, to someone who is successful, to a father? What does self-discipline mean?
Well, basically, discipline is, of course, one of those virtues which I would say everybody, right from your first day of education, that's one of the primary virtues that is being instilled from your days in nursery schools, secondary school, university. There is always, even living with the parents, there's always a tilt of discipline. Everybody wants whoever the word is to come out right, to do the right things, to have a good sense of moral code, a good sense of right and wrong, to be able to make independent judgments. So basically, I think the first and most important aspect of having that level of self-discipline is to be able to train and control yourself, not to get greedy, to be able to, first of all, be able to make judgments at the right time about what is right and what is wrong, to also go slightly more often than not above the personal things, the personal interests, because once one brings in the personal interest, or one brings in the concept of favor, then it's very, very difficult to be disciplined. One of the people that I learned under, the very late Professor Eli Salami, he told me something when I started my career in the university, and then it never really left me. And all the years I have tried to live with that simple doctrine of where don't go about looking for favors, because you would have to give back that level of favor tomorrow. So as much as possible, of course, being in an industry like here where it's a favor-based industry, where a student wants to get good grades, a colleague's child or a colleague's friend, there is always demand. If one sticks with those kind of principles, where one is fair, one is objective, and then sticking with those principles, and it's a bit easier, because then in your own conscience, in the depth of your own conscience, you know you have done the right thing, or you have tried to do the right thing at every time.
Wow. Thank you very much, sir. That's a very awesome response about self-discipline. Krista, your own personal life about self-discipline. What can you tell us how you have been disciplined? Can you tell us how you have been disciplined in your own personal life and career as a whole? How has it brought you to where you are now? Because I know you are a successful person. So how has self-discipline brought you to where you are?
Well, the first thing I would always say is not to be greedy. And not to be greedy. To, in every sphere of life, in every atmosphere that you live, in every condition you find yourself, to live it maximally and to be happy in it. I always smile whenever I hear the words like that, because I told a number of people, even my students, that I never ever grew up with a silver spoon. I grew up quite rough. I lost my dad when I was very, very young. My mother was a primary school teacher. I had to take care of 8 children, and I could say, very well enough, all of us are graduates. So I have lived in every different aspect of my life with a strong desire of want. Okay? But I think what makes one a person of character, a person of is to live in that period with maximum satisfaction and joy within the limits of what you want. Because when you cease to be greedy, when you cease to want to have what Mr. A or Mr. B wants, therefore that element of the lack of discipline comes in, because then you then begin to think or morally rationalize in your head that it's all about the end, that the end justifies the means. It doesn't matter how we get there, it's just that I'm there. But precisely if you are satisfied with what you have, then you would then begin to look around what you have and find the joy and find the happiness and find the reward in that unique system, such that it's then easy, because once you begin to appreciate whatever situations you find yourself in, then, like I said, it's much, much easier to be able to move one step at a time, to be able to progress, to be able to move on. Like I said before now, in my wildest dreams, I was never one of those crazy people that felt going abroad was the only thing in life. It was actually forced on my lap. This Salami actually called me one day and said, go and apply for university. And I did that, and I mean, I'm not missing words, I'm not saying anything, but I can remember at that time that I had quite a lot of colleagues who actually put in for the same exam. But for me, I knew I was very satisfied with my life. I started a PhD here, but I was practically the only one who was awarded. So it's just you could say, I mean, I have lots of examples like this in different scenarios, but it's more or less just being able to leave that situation you find yourself and live it well and maximally. And then whether you like it or not, if you do the things well, because I used to read from one of these ancient writers that you need to work and work well. That in that situation that you are, in that office that you are, you do the things, you put in your whole heart, like your life dependent on it. You consider, you don't, of course, in this office that we do, there's a lot of people, a lot of things affecting different people. But then, if you carry out the approach that there is a life, there is a story, there is family around this paper, around this name, then your approach would normally be different. And I used to tell my colleagues, sometimes I see the way they react with maybe when students come to ask for something or to get them to do some paperwork for them, that you are only behaving like this because you don't know the personality of that person. If that person sits down and tell you about his problems, his family, complexities of life, you won't carry on like this. You won't ask him to get out of your office. So if you take that approach, like enjoying the moment, enjoying what you do, and that's one thing I think I really like. I try to enjoy or create that atmosphere to enjoy whatever situations I find myself in, and because of that, it's so easy. It's something that you look forward to. Many people have told me before, I had opportunities before I even came here to work in, say, class A jobs. I had opportunities if I wanted to stay back in the UK. But for me, it wasn't about the so-called affluence or the so-called prestige that comes with, oh, he's there in the West, he's there. But it was about what I would find my happiness in, what I would enjoy doing. And I realized that this is one of the things I really enjoy doing. There was no need to give it up because of what people say or what people would perceive about your personality. So I think that's really the key to living that life, that diligence, to find joy in whatever you do, and then you live it to the maximum.
Wow. I'm learning, sir. Okay, sir, you mentioned a statement now about if I'm correct, if I'm right, there's something about finding knowing what gives you joy, doing what gives you joy. So how do we discover that? That's one thing that gives you joy. That's one thing that gives you happiness. How can we discover that?
You might not know it at the very beginning, which is the truth, because nobody has of course you might have an aptitude, okay, I think I like doing this, it's different. But you might not know it at the very beginning. But when you get in it, okay, then it's easy to realize immediately that yes, there's this satisfaction. But then also what I also tell people is that if you ask almost everybody now, they might all tell you that, okay, what I think will give me joy is if I relocate to America or relocate to Canada, okay? But that's not going to happen overnight, okay? So, obviously, I personally think that you can find that niche, you can find that joy in whatever you are doing. So even within the big ambience of this, okay, maybe this is not really what I want to do, the pay is bad, the atmosphere is rubbish, you can find something to hold on to, you can find something to look out for. And then when you then identify that thing, then if I read somewhere one time and it struck me so well that your work has to be a prayer. And I think it has to be a prayer. And that I think it is in that joy, in that thing that you like doing, that is the best way to pray. Somebody once wrote that Jesus was a perfect carpenter because he could pray while working. He could turn that carpentry into an act of prayer. Okay, so it is when you can then offer up that work, when you can then, and you could say, how I put it, you could then begin to see God in that thing that you do, then it's easier, far easier to find that joy, to find that level of commitment, to move up one step, to be able to achieve and be happy in doing what you want to do.
So thank you, sir. Until I can make my work. Like this, that last clause, I don't, because of our audience. Maybe at least can you come back to it because they are from different backgrounds.
Oh yes, everybody. I think everybody in whatever context, in whatever religion prays. Yeah, so it's easy to understand what prayer is. But then I have read a couple of things, and what is really prayer? What is really prayer? In fact, one of the basic things I've read about the simple definition of prayer is lifting up your heart and your mind to God. Okay, so if I can walk well, yeah. So if I can walk well, if I can do the things well, if I can do it not because of necessarily of a reward, not because a boss is looking at me, or not because somebody is rating me, like the first 6 months they're trying to see how you can put it, but if at every moment of day, when I'm alone, when I'm not alone, when I'm at home, when it has to do with work, I am working with that intention of doing it well. Because obviously, and like I said, everybody comes from a religious from background, and then you realize that there is need to offer up the best to whatever forms of religiosity that you believe, to give the best. Okay? So if I work with that intention of giving the best, irrespective of who and what is a reward, then it becomes a prayer. because that is really what prayer is all about. It's not about the voicing, it's about the action.
Thank you very much. We need to get new perspectives to this topic of self-discipline. Please, lastly, can I just ask one more question, sir?
Okay, of course.
Okay. So I noticed that in this part of the world, the young people, what we want is, okay, many of us want to travel abroad, and even among the students, there are many of them that they are into fraud. So what can you say about that? What are the causes? Is it that because we found that many of them are even intelligent, they're intelligent people. Many of them are graduates, many of them are intelligent, many of them are some of them are even from rich homes. So I don't really know why. Why do many young people engage in internet frauds?
Because I have a little bit of background in the philosophies, political sciences, I have always asked myself the question why. So that's the philosopher's most important question. And you don't blame these people at all, and I never do that. Because if you understand where they are coming from, there is a lot of poverty in the land. There is a lot of uncertainties about the futures in this part. Because people are coming out, there are no jobs, society doesn't care for you, things are getting worse, and then there is no fallback plan. Okay? And because there is no fallback plan, then you can then see from that person's perspective that I need to be able to create that buffer for myself and my immediate family. Okay, we don't have a social welfare system here. So if you understand them from that perspective, then it's easier to understand where they might be coming from. There was a time where I used to even tell my students that it is strange, but there seems to be, the way the country is going, that there seems to be creating that atmosphere for moral justification to be corrupt. I used to use that word a lot, and I explained myself. Because there was a time people were not being paid salaries for 10, 15 months. This same man has to meet his obligations. He needs to pay his house rent, he needs to feed his family, he needs to transport himself, he needs to pay for school, he needs to take care of his aged parents. Therefore, there is no source of money coming in, and these things don't stop. Okay? And because of that, you could then say that there is a moral justification for that man to be corrupt, to take care of his basic needs. So if you look at it from that perspective, like I say, you can understand a little bit where this culture is coming from. And then I also remember back then when I was in Europe, there was a particular case that I was following about a case of a theft in Italy of some young men that went to a supermarket to steal, and they were arrested. And the case went to court, and they kept on losing at different lower courts until it got to the Supreme Court because some lawyers were interested in the case. And they took the matter up to the Supreme Court. And then the Supreme Court acquitted these men. And what was the reason? It struck me so well then. The reason why they acquitted them, that if a man is hungry and has no means to eat, he has not committed a crime by breaking into a store to get food to eat. So if you take that to the perspective of what we have in the country, you can then understand. I'm not justifying what they do. Yes, so don't get me wrong. And they said in any systems, in any sane system, for you to solve any problem, you need to go back to where the people are coming from. That's the only way you can solve problems. There is no need arresting these people when you have not solved the fundamental problem. Okay? So if you understand the fundamental problems of how people are forced somehow into crime, we then begin to realize that we need to be able to go back and solve the economic problems. We need to be able to go back and solve the educational problems, because another problem is also all connected to this new concept of fraud, is that because there is this high poverty in the land, people are no longer able to give what they can give in the university education. So people are becoming more and more badly trained. Because of that, they are more and more becoming useless. So we need to be able to solve that problem. And then we need to also, because these people have skills, we need to be able to find a way to channel these skills to more productive aspects. So for me, it's not so much about insisting on, oh, you can't do this, you can't do this, you can't do this. But if you understand where the person is coming from, and then you can help that person with proper education to be able to channel those skills to more productive systems, then it's easier for them to be able to turn that evil or that act of evil into concrete good, and to also to be able to get followers along those lines.
Thank you very much. I'm seeing from a different light. Please, finally, what advice can you give to young people? I'm a young man also. Young people, at least from, let's say, young teenagers and youths, young people together.
Yeah, I'll say it's quite easy. Identify what you think you are good at. Identify, because now we have a population of about 200 million. And that's an endless market that I always tell people. You need to just look around and see what is it I can do, what skills do I have, what skills can I learn that I can sell. I can use to sell myself, I can use to sell my skills. So once you can identify that, then you develop more of those skills. I'm not saying neglect every other thing, but gone are the days where we begin to single that it's important that the only thing that matters is make a first class or make a 2-1 or study this engineering or study this medicine or study this. Yeah, those things are good, but as we are beginning to realize, they don't put food on the table. Yeah. So it's when you acquire particular skills, develop those skills, and then obviously, at that young age or this young age which you are in now, is the time to develop skills. It's the time to develop skills. And then for those who are much younger, who are having younger children, to expose your words to a variety of skills. Because that's also another thing that maybe our generation of parents missed out. Remember those days, I used to love football a lot, and they would beat the hell out of me if I come back from going to play football. But allow the children to develop a variety of skills at a very young age. And then as they grow older, they begin to pick those ones that they think they have a niche on, such that even if you graduate, and it's something that is happening more and more, almost everybody graduating now has one or two other skills. And that's precisely why, in fact, if you look at a country like Nigeria, even though we are all crying hunger, poverty, no jobs, but what keeps on impressing me, I've been in this institution for about 10 years, and then people are living 10 years, and I almost haven't seen any student who are ahead that is begging on the streets. So somehow everybody seems to find something. But obviously, if you have developed your skills or developed skills, then you could say, in that simple, ordinary thing, make it big.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ighodaro. I really learned a lot. Audience, I know you are enjoying this. So what I've learned today is that discover what you have passion for, develop your skills, know what skills you have, and build your life around it, develop it, and you find out that life is going to be good for you. I call you blessed. Thank you very much, sir, for giving us a
Alright, well done.
So, this is the end of today's interview with Dr. Igodaro, still on matters of the art of self-discipline. I hope you enjoyed this. Thank you very much.